Good morning everyone. This is Kamikawa Kaolin. Koreans lie. Chinese people were still better. Is the word of an old lady who lived on the pre-war peninsula. In Japan, as the saying goes, samurai have no two words, it is a shame to lie. If you break it, you can make up for it even if you have seppuku, but in Korea, it's completely different. In South Korea, similar to China, for the benefit of our nation, our people, and our family for a long time, there is an ethical view that allows falsehood, distortion, and fabrication. Without feeling guilty, I withdrew my previous words and lied to lies, to win. Lies, forgery, fraud, tears, tells, threats, blackmail, takeovers, and so on, using all sorts of gangster-like means, developing victim business. This is justice in Korea. I can't trust what Korea does. What will happen to human beings if they are raised in this way? A good example can also be found in sports. Similarly, in the political arena, the recent attitude of South Korea, which is trying to break the Japan-Korea Basic Treaty without hesitation, of course, this, you can lie to win, there is no doubt that it is an extension of the idea. Japan is not the only country that hates South Korea to lie in such a calm manner. Recently, there was a cancellation Korea movement in the Philippines, even in Taiwan, for example, most Taiwanese hate South Korea. If you ask why Taiwan hates South Korea, you can see the liar and sneaky personality of Koreans. 1963 Park Chung-hee becomes president of South Korea. Taiwan was dominated by Chiang Kai-shek, who fled from China. The two were seniors and juniors of the Japanese Army Academy. In connection with that individual, Taiwan will provide financial assistance to South Korea. At that time, South Korea was the poorest country in the world until the Japan-Korea Basic Treaty was signed. Taiwan supported Park Chung-hee's 5-year economic development plan with financial support. Until the 1980s, the two countries had a good relationship. However, Taiwan was introduced when South Korea established diplomatic relations with China in 1992. Taiwan has been negotiating many times, fearing that South Korea will make a decisive move with Taiwan. Each time, the answer from the South Korean side was, there can be no break in diplomatic relations. At this time, South Korea saw the footsteps of Taiwan, which was afraid of defeat. We sold a lot of Korean cars that could not be sold at all in the international market. Nevertheless, South Korea cowardly cut off diplomatic relations with Taiwan. Not only that, but on the day of the disconnection rewrite all assets held by the Taiwanese embassy in South Korea to the Chinese name. In fact, do a sneaky treatment calmly I got rid of it. Even when South Korea started its first 5-year economic development plan in 1963, Taiwan was the first to provide financial support, forgetting the favor at that time. The tone of the Korean media at this time is shameless. Due to our excellent strategy, it was possible to break diplomatic relations without Taiwan being aware of its intentions. Abandoning Taiwan and forming a friendly relationship with China bringing tremendous benefits to our country, I was proud to publish an article such as expected, the Korean way of sudden strike and deception, Taiwanese lawmakers who boiled over and over we have announced to the world the constitution of Koreans who are raising and Takari, who take advantage of people's weaknesses. In addition, South Korea's bullying against Taiwan will continue to escalate. In the competition for the host country of the Asian sports tournament, if Taiwan does not transfer its rights to South Korea, it will be banished from the tournament. At the international conference, Taiwan is not a nation, so I will not let you participate. And acted such as shutting out university students in Taiwan. Also with the support of the Chinese government opposition to Taiwan's accession to international organizations such as the United Nations and the IMF, etc. I've been bullying Taiwan in a gloomy way. When Taiwanese are most distressed, they take advantage of their weaknesses and threaten them. The worst is a human being. However, when the Korean economy collapsed due to the Asian currency crisis in 1997, it came under the control of the IMF. For national improvement and friendship between the two countries, to Taiwan without embarrassment, we are asking for $10 billion in financial assistance because of our selfish reasoning. Japanese politicians have been deceived many times by this shameless technique of South Korea. Masahiko Komura, vice president of the Liberal Democratic Party, said in 1998 when he was foreign minister. When the Japan-Korea Joint Declaration was finalized, President Kim Dae-jung, "Once you apologize, South Korea will never say about the comfort women," he was persuaded. Mr. Takamura, who believed that, said, "I am deeply remorseful and sincerely." Apology is specified. However, if you apologize, you acknowledge the fact. Since then, he has been attacking Japan toward the world with the issue of comfort women. "I am just amazed at the low level of Japanese politicians. You can see that South Korea is a country that you should not deal with seriously." There are many other reasons why Taiwan hates South Korea. The Shinkansen in Taiwan was scheduled to open in October 2005, it was postponed to October 2006 due to the discovery of a cut-out work by a Korean company. It was reconstructed with a grant from the Japanese government. In addition, the Seimail-ho train purchased from a Korean company frequently breaks down, and after-sales service was not done well. Since then, Korean companies have been prohibited from participating in bidding for all railway-related businesses. Also, when a Korean woman, the wife of a diplomat belonging to the Taiwanese representative in South Korea, had a traffic accident, there was an incident in which he tried to cheat by pretending to be Japanese. A lie has been discovered because the car is the official car number, outside 0455, of the Taiwan Representative Office in South Korea. Koreans all over the world say they are Japanese when they do bad things. What a cowardly and shameless guy, according to Kim Won-seop, pro-Japanese defense. Koreans say, if you do something wrong in a foreign country, call yourself Japanese, at school or at home. It seems that he grows up by being taught. A Korean prostitution group was caught in New York. Surprisingly, according to U.S. media reports, this group used to feed on the popular Japanese women in the United States. Even if you give Koreans words such as sneaky, cowardly, shameless, traitor, and lie, it doesn't respond at all, because such an act is not some special person. This is because it is an ethnic thinking pattern that follows the Korean tradition. In other words, the idea is that it is worse to be fooled. In this way, the act of giving back gratitude has never been so enumerated. Japanese murder by Koreans on the day of the end of the war. Do you know the Kazuo family murder case? The Kazuo couple who moved to Korea during the Japan-Korea merger era for Korean orphans who have been raised warmly and studied abroad at the University of Tokyo immediately after the end of the war. The slaughter, rape, and even the internal organs were torn off. My daughter, who was an elementary school student, was touched and died 9 days later. There is a saying in Korea that, a drowning dog can be hit with a stick. It means to reach out to the drowning dog and avoid being dragged into the river. When Japan finds out that it will lose in WW2, like returning the palm slaughtered the Japanese who had been taken care of until now. On the contrary, he shouted that the comfort women were sexual slaves who were abused and forcibly recruited by Japan. Also, South Korea declared war on Japan. South Korea is a victorious country. I lied calmly and turned over. There is a Korean saying, a crying child gets one more rice cake. Koreans do not know that they will endure even when they grow up, and they cry exaggeratedly. I think it means that if you need and cry, the request will pass. If you respond to one request, you will make further requests with it as an established fact. The Japanese should not forget that Korea is a country. According to the Kono statement regarding the comfort woman problem, if you put the fact that there was coercion in the wording, the problem can be separated. When I drank Korea's request, Shukan Jitsua tells us that the problem is not solved, but as it is now. If the emperor apologizes, the comfort women issue will be resolved soon, said South Korean President Moon Hee-sang. I said, Kono statement, proves that Japan will reach its end if the emperor apologizes. Japan should never give rice cakes to this spoiled child. Koreans lie. Chinese people were still better. Is the word of an old lady who lived on the pre-war peninsula. The Japanese, and people all over the world, should never forget this word. Don't be fooled by Korean lies. That's all.